What's up, guys? H-Bong Fitness here. So today we're going to talk about plantar fasciitis. I have little cases going on. After my surgery, I kind of was a little too active too quick, and that's one of the causes of plantar fasciitis. If you kind of go into something, activity, too fast, too quickly. A lot of it is in runners because they go too, they want to add a little more distance, and they do it too fast, so their foot just takes an extra toll. It's that extra stress, and so you get some inflammation down that plantar fascia. So it's a good rule of thumb to progressively go back into something or to add to something. Okay, so if you're doing some sort of training for running, you don't want to just do a mile right off the bat. You want start with 400 meters, 800 meters, and build your way up. Okay, so we're gonna just talk about it a little bit, go over it. I've been doing a lot of research on this lately, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. So get all this stuff off. So basically, plantar fasciitis is this inflammation. Let me move this camera down. Is this inflammation of the fascia. Okay, so it's a triangular shaped, okay, connects all along here, inserts here, and basically what this does is it kind of maintains that arch of the foot, and since it is fascia, it really can't be stretched that much, so that's why it does get inflamed, because what happens is we put it under tension, but it's not really meant to stretch. It's more of kind of a shock absorber, so that when we do add that extra stress, it does get in a stretch position, and it just can't really cope with that. So usually the pain when people have it is along here, this inside, but really also at this insertion of the heel bone, okay, at this calcaneus. So right along here, and obviously depending on your case, it can be up here by the metatarsals, or at this first metatarsal of the big toe, because it is a big sheath, so the location of it kind of depends, but primarily people kind of get at the heel, kind of this cushiony area. Okay, so one of the symptoms is right when you first get up in the morning, or get up after you've been inactive for a little bit. So after you sleep, maybe you're watching TV for a little bit, sitting in a car for a while, and basically when you don't have any pressure on it, it's in a good position to start healing because there's no added weight. But right when you take a first step, your arch, the foot semi collapses, because that's how the foot is made. It's as a shock absorber. It can't just be rigid the whole time. It has to flatten out, arch up, supinate, pronate, kind of does all the ranges of motion. So what happens is when we put our foot down, a little pronation, flattening occurs. So what happens is that fascia stretches a bit. So that's why when you first put your foot down right away, you probably get the most pain throughout the day. And as you warm up, the pain ceases. So when you've been in bed all day sleeping, it's starting to heal, and it's in a good position because there's no weight bearing. It's in a neutral position, but right when you step, the ankle kind of does its job, does all the ranges of motion, and the fascia gets kind of tweaked out by that. So that's what kind of makes it heal better, is you need it to be in a neutral position. You don't have too much weight bearing on it, but however, this is a very thick band of connective tissue, so it is pretty resilient. So here are some treatment options. Just get the ball out. Okay, so first thing obviously is put a ball under your foot. Do this when you're standing, guys, but you just really want to hang out here as much as you can. You're basically kind of breaking up that fascia a little bit, breaking up all the muscles, getting them loose, and you're just kind of buying slack into that system. And usually the most pain is kind of right here at the insertion of that calcaneus and that fascia. So right here, so guys, you want to hang out here. Make sure you're doing this when you're standing. Get a lot of extra pressure on there, and do some motions like this. You kind of want, I call it like scraping off, peeling it off. So you just want to go up and down the foot. Next thing you want to do is, you can do this with a barbell or a ball, is we want to go after this posterior tibialis, okay? So what this does, it starts up here in the tibia and comes and kind of supports the arch. Usually people with flat feet, whatever, people who are starting to get flat feet, is because they have posterior tibialis dysfunction. This muscle doesn't work properly, so it doesn't hold up your arch as well. But the one thing about this is, when people do have pain around here, this also contributes to plantar fasciitis, because it helps support the arch. So we have to loosen up this as well to you know, get this freed up too. So you can take the ball right here, and you want to wind it up a little bit because the lacrosse ball is grippy, and we just want to kind of go after that posterior tibialis. And obviously you can take a barbell and go all the way along, be right below this shin bone. Okay. So we want to clean up this and this bottom of the foot. One more thing to add: if we do clean up this portion of the foot right here, that also will free up our heel cords. Since this is kind of a big fascia layer right here, if we can loosen up this, we'll loosen up this. Vice versa, if we loosen up this, loosen up some of this part. And next thing we gotta do is, we have to absolutely go after the heel cords. Okay, heel cords and calves. So a good way to do this for your heel cords is, you put this on a barbell. Okay, place your other foot on top, and then you just want to put your foot through range of motion. And this is like an ART technique. You're basically kind of like the past videos I've shown, this grip pretty much kind of breaks up some of the scar tissue in those tendons. And so if we can do this, we can kind of clean up this heel cord, not only free it up, but we can create some new collagen to this by kind of breaking up those adhesions and getting some new collagen in there. So you don't want to do this really before you work out or anything. Good post workout. But the stuff with the ball, that's all fair game before you do anything. First thing you get out of bed. Okay, so you want to hang out here. Like I said, if we free up this stuff, it'll free up this a bit. Vice versa too. Okay, and obviously you can do this all the way to your calf. Get a little bit of that posterior tibialis in there if you go a lot medially. But we have to absolutely clean up this posterior part of the leg. Get the soleus, gastrocnemius in there, and very important, we get this heel cord. And make sure you go to the insertion almost. Obviously there's bone right here, not gonna work, but right below or above the calcaneus. Okay. And then the last thing is, you obviously can do stretches with this. Okay, the typical gastroc stretch. That's all good stuff. I'm just not going to show you that because that's a lot. That's just some simple stuff. But you want to get some of the soft tissue work done there. Okay, and then the last thing is you want to get ice. Here's my ammo box. But I just filled it with ice, and make sure you get some ice in there, guys, on your foot. I like it with the water because it gets all of your foot opposed to just one specific area. And then the other thing, guys, that I think is very, very important that a lot of people probably underlook is heat. Okay, heat allows for more inflammation and healing. And I think probably people get a little discouraged by that or afraid of the inflammation, but when something does get inflamed, it does mean it is healing, because the inflammation is the body's natural healing response. So what I say is, get the ice maybe as more of a kind of a numbing factor. I think it's probably a good numbing factor. It gets rid of that pain. But from a healing perspective, heat is the best way to go. You get promoted blood circulation, more nutrients. You also loosen up those muscles and the tendons around there, so you get relief. But from the biological healing standpoint, heat will promote that inflammation process. And yes, it'll probably feel a little more discomforting because you're promoting that that pain almost. But when you do get rest and with the heat, it will go by a lot faster. So don't be too aggressive on the ice, but I'd be a little more aggressive on the heat. And like I said, it loosen up all your muscles, all that sort of stuff. So there you go, guys. Just think about your ankle, how you can free up this joint, how you can free up the tissues around there, and how can we add some external, forces of temperature to change kind of our biological process that's going on in there, and not only change it but promote it. How can we get that healing faster, get the swelling out of there, and most importantly, just need to lay off it a little bit, not completely, but I'd stay away from all running and jumping, that sort of stuff. Okay, so there you go, guys. Plantar fasciitis.